welcome back to the Saturday Scholars College Football Podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That is Zan. That is Gonzo. I am Shoob, and we are here to do week 2 predictions. And I did the horns. Is it going to be horns down this week, or is it going to be horns up? Big game for them. Anyhow, we're going to pick 10 of the best games this week to pick a lot of great matchups in week 2. I think week 2 was the matchup or the weeks that I was really looking forward to at the beginning of the season. There's a lot of interesting matchups, a lot of close spreads this week between Power 5 teams. This is going to be a good week, I think. But guys, I'm back from the camping trip. I feel like I was lost out at sea. You know those analogies of like when someone's lost out at sea and they come back a year later and you're like, explain to me what happened in the past year in the world. That's kind of how I feel about college football right now. It killed me, but man, there's some surprisers. But anyhow, if you want to hear my quick takes on that, go watch my latest short video on the channel. But gentlemen, it's time to get down to business. Let's do week 2 picks. All right. First up on the docket, it's a Friday night game between Illinois and Kansas. Interesting non-conference series here. Kansas is a 3-point favorite at home. Illinois coming off a squeaker against Toledo last week. Kansas beat up on Missouri State, was slow out of the gates. Jalen Daniels, questionable to play. Guys, what do you think is going to happen here between the Illini and the Jayhawks?
Well, Shoob, like I told Zan in our last pod, it's clear Illinois is probably looking ahead to Kansas, which again is still weird to say. And that's why that game against Toledo was as close as it was. That being said, I think this is going to be a gritty game. And I'm a man who likes to stick to his principles and to his takes, whether they're very right or very wrong. I'm high on Kansas this year as someone who took their over. I'm going to go Kansas both ways, but it would not shock me one bit if the Illini won this game.
I share the same sentiment as Gonzo. So in this particular instance, whether it be Bean, whether it be Jalen Daniels, obviously they're a better team with Jalen Daniels, but Bean is still a pretty solid player. Kansas still has a really good running back. They have a very great core group of wide receivers who are all very experienced in their system. But with that being said, Illinois, Luke Altmaier looks pretty decent. He may end up being the best quarterback on his side of the division over there in the Big Ten. We'll find out by season's end. Good defense. It's going to be a good battle. It's very intriguing to see what happens here. But ultimately, Kansas is at home. I'm going to lean towards the Jayhawks, Rock Chalk Jayhawk both ways.
All right, so we got Kansas across the board here to open it up between you two. Well, this game is legitimately a coin flip because Kansas is a 3-point favorite at home. If this was in Champaign, Illinois would be a 3-point favorite. 3 is usually the plus minus for home games for each team. So legitimately a coin flip. This will be a great matchup to watch, especially between the coordinators with Koltonicki, the offensive coordinator for Kansas. It's not a great Kansas offensive line, but they do a great job of scheming around that. And it will be a pretty good Illinois defensive front that they're going to go up against. So I'm really going to be interested to see this game from like a coaching standpoint. I think it's going to be really entertaining. You know what, guys? Illinois sort of disappointed a little bit against Toledo. I'm going to go with Kansas, rock chalk across the board here. I'm going to go with Kansas to win and cover that 3-point spread. So sorry, Illini fans, but we're going to go with the Jayhawks here.
What if Kenton Peoples was the quarterback?
Oh, Illinois all day. In fact, Illinois would be favored by about 2 touchdowns if that was the case.
Yes, it would.
All right. So next up is going to be Notre Dame, who's number 10. 2-0 are the Irish. They're a 7.5-point favorite going to Raleigh to face NC State. Notre Dame playing one of their 6 ACC opponents this year. Wolfpack looked a little shaky against UConn in their opener. Notre Dame's looked pretty good so far. What do you guys think here?
Notre Dame both ways. I know they've played kind of lesser opponents between Tennessee State and Navy in that opener, but this offense is just clicking, and I think they're winning by double digits versus NC State.
I'm with you, Gonzo. NC State played against UConn to open up. They did pull away against that one, but it did seem like a little bit of a struggle, a little too well matched with UConn despite winning that game. Notre Dame looks great. They have Sam Hartman. That is like the one thing that Notre Dame has been missing is a really good quarterback to take that next step. I don't think NC State has a chance in this game. I'm going Notre Dame both ways. And in fact, I would be comfortable laying money on this bet, taking 7.5 on Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
We got a Zan best bet here.
I would take it. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to push back just a tad. I mean, NC State did struggle against UConn, but I could totally see that being a situation to where they were sort of like, playing it very conservatively and really putting everything, all their game planning into Notre Dame, which is a little dicey against UConn. They're an improved team. NC State is at home. I do expect the Wolfpack to put up a good fight. Like, I don't expect NC State to lay an egg here, but I'm with you guys. Notre Dame is still the better team. 7.5. I'm not just like saying this is a freebie spread, but I am still going to take Notre Dame to cover that. I think Notre Dame by about like 2 touchdowns or 10 to 14 points is about right. I think NC State will keep it relatively close, and they are at home after all. So we'll see. But I won't be surprised if this is a game.
I love that we still get to see Sam Hartman and Brennan Armstrong still battle each other, just for 2 completely different teams.
Yeah, exactly. It's the portal era, man. You got to love it. Number 12, Utah, an 8-point favorite. They're going to go on the road to face Baylor, another future Big 12 matchup right here, but it is not a Big 12 matchup this year. They're an 8-point favorite against Baylor, who, didn't look so great last week. Yeah, that was a yikes. Big yikes for Baylor. Guys, Blake Shapen is also out for several weeks, apparently. Sawyer Robertson is the likely backup starter for the Bears in this one. Utah's also dealing with injury problems themselves. Rising and Keithy, it's questionable whether they're going to play as of now. We're recording this on Thursday, September 7th. So we shall see. But even with the backups, I mean, look how good Utah looked against Florida. What do you guys think here?
It's my understanding that Cam was at least all clear for practice, which that's a great sign. But even if he's not, your quarterbacks looked at least serviceable against UF. And this is underrated, but Utah's got basically a 10-day break. They played Thursday. That's a little bit extra time than the rest. And even if they played 2 days ago, I'm taking Utah both ways, though. I mean, Baylor doesn't have their starting quarterback. And I just think that defense is going to suffocate them. I just do not think they will move the ball.
Yeah, I'm with you. The fact that Shapen is going to be out, the fact that Utah played really well against a Florida team who has good star talent on their team, the fact that Baylor struggled mightily against the mighty Texas State Bobcats. I don't think there's a shot Baylor covers this. I'm laying money on this, my own personal money on this, that Utah is going to cover this -8. And if they cover that -8, it obviously means they are going to win as well. So give me Utah.
About some Utah alt lines here. It seems like this could be one of those instances. Utah alt line -13.5 or something like that. Yeah. Well, I know Baylor was out 3 starters in the secondary, but it's still not an excuse. And yeah, this is a tangent for another day, but man, Dave Aranda's stock is falling fast, guys. Like that 2021 Big 12 championship run that they had, the Cotton Bowl win over Ole Miss, since then it has been a downhill trend. And I mean, it's a problem. It really is. And now you're gonna have Sawyer Robertson starting. Even with Shapen, Baylor's offense was nothing better than average at best. And now they have defensive problems, systemic defensive problems. This is supposed to be Aranda's MO here. It's weird, man. It's weird how this has sort of gone over the last year and a half at Waco. So I'm with you guys. You got to take Utah. Utah showed against Florida. They got depth at quarterback. Even if Rising doesn't play, which he likely will, they got Bryson Barnes. They got Nate Johnson. Utah's got some depth, man. And they're going to be more healthy than they were against Florida. Even though they're on the road, they play a lot better at home. I'm going to take Utah to win and cover here with you guys on that spread. Feel pretty good about it. Man, rough times in Waco for Baylor right now. All right, well, guys, this is the one that a lot of you are probably here to see. Nebraska is going to face Colorado, a former Big 12 North conference matchup here. back in the OG days of the Big 12 North. This used to be a good game back in the 90s, a good rivalry. Colorado's found their way into the top 25. The Buffaloes have a hype train that is going full steam ahead at about a speed that I don't think we've ever seen in this sport. Guys, what do you think is going to happen here? They're only a 3-point favorite.
Only a 3-point favorite. Thank you. Both ways. Colorado, of course. It's the home opener of the Deion Sanders era. Oh my gosh, they're going to have more people in there on Saturday than they've had in the last decade plus. Oh my gosh. And Nebraska reeling off of an absolute heartbreaking loss. Yo, Shoob might go for 600.
Yeah. So Colorado looks amazing on offense. And in addition to that, Travis Hunter is an absolute beast on defense. Jeff Sims threw 3 interceptions in his first game. The concerns we had about Jeff Sims being more of a runner and not really developing as a passer have fully come to fruition from what we've seen in week 1. He has not really developed in that instance. Colorado's secondary is much improved. Their defense is much improved. Their offense looks crazy. Nebraska looked pretty bad against Minnesota. I mean, I'm say both Nebraska and Minnesota both look bad in that game. But with that being said, this is another Zan best bet. Colorado, both ways. Colorado to cover -3. I would lay an alternate line on that for even -6.
I'd lay a touchdown, honestly.
Yeah. Like, legitimately, the Zan has 3 best bets this week that I'm going to put my money on.
So I'll get this out of the way. I'm with you guys once again. Consensus across the board the first 4 games here. We've had no disagreement so far.
Nervous.
We just guaranteed a Nebraska victory.
Yeah, but I will say, to play devil's advocate here, and I think that this does have a pretty decent shot of happening. Guys, like TCU, the home opener for Colorado, that was their Super Bowl. Is there, right now on that campus, like those players are getting treated like kings. You have everyone and their mom telling you how great they are. Like, the hype machine's out of control. They're on top of the world. Like, could this be an instance of Florida week 1 versus Utah, where Anthony Richardson Heisman campaign that lasted 1 week and then it just went downhill fast? Are we going to be sitting here in week 12 saying, oh yeah, remember when Colorado was like, we thought they were good for 1 week and then they were really bad? Is this an instance of that? Like, does Deion able to get like their mindsets right? Hey guys, we have a whole season to play here. Like, the season's not over. You won the Super Bowl in week 1. Like, don't just throw in the rest of the season and think you're just a godly team. Could that happen?
It's not over till Deion hits that win total. And then, like, if it kind of went off the tracks after, sure. But I think there's enough buy-in to keep the focus at least through the first month, because Deion thrives off of this. And if he can continue, and Matt Rule, I said this to Zan on the pod, Matt Rule was talking some crap. So you cannot tell me that Deion Sanders does not want to come in here, beat him by 21 touchdowns, and be like, leave my name out your mouth. So I think they keep it together.
And I think I probably agree with that. But just playing devil's advocate, I mean, look how much hype they got at Jackson State, and Deion handled that pretty well. I'd say Jackson State handled business for the most part. As far as X's and O's, I think this is a matchup advantage for Colorado still, because Nebraska's along the lines of scrimmage still isn't great at all. We don't really know much about Nebraska from that Minnesota game. Like you said, Gonzo, 2 bad teams. So as long as Colorado doesn't play a team that's elite along the lines of scrimmage, I think they have the skill position talent to just out-skill position guys and win these games, which I think they're going to do here. So anyhow, Ole Miss Tulane, man, I legitimately am like really excited for this one. This is flying under the radar because of all the Colorado hype and everything, Texas, Alabama. But this game is flying under the radar. It's a ranked matchup. Number 20, Ole Miss, 7.5-point favorite on the road in Ullman, in NOLA, against number 24, the mighty Tulane Green Wave, and the Fighting Michael Pratts. What do we got, Gonzo?
Very excited about this one. This is going to be a fun one to have on at the tailgate this weekend. I mean, both these teams respectively beat the snot out of their opponents. Granted, I put a little more stock in Tulane beating South Alabama than Ole Miss waxing Mercer. Let me not hide the ball anymore. Tulane on the cover. I just don't think they're going to lose by more than a touchdown at home, and those fans do show up. And money line, give me that Green Wave, baby.
Oh.
I mean, they beat the Heisman winner. and I'm supposed to be scared of Jackson Dart. Quinshon Judkins is a dude. I mean, that's going to be a problem to contain. But that Ole Miss defense, I'm not scared. Michael Pratt's going to carve them up. Give me the green wave both ways. Roll wave.
I love it.
Yeah, I love the Green Wave. They're at home. Great team. Best team in the G5 by far. But Ole Miss has a lot of talent. I do like Quinshon Judkins. I do like Jackson Dart. I really like that, Lane Kiffin over there said, PFF, all the highest rated guys. Let me go get them. So we'll see if that works. We'll see if that works for them. So right now, it's hard for me to bet against Ole Miss. I'm going to pick Ole Miss to win, but you're giving me a touchdown and a hook against a quality Tulane team at home. Give me Tulane to cover.
Yeah. Hey, I like Ole Miss too. I do like Ole Miss. I think the only reason we don't really perceive Ole Miss as a SEC contender is just because their schedule is so tough. Like they got one of the toughest schedules in the entire country this year. So we all just kind of know, yeah, they're going to lose like 4 or 5 games, but it's still a really good team. That being said, 7 and a hook. Gonzo, you stole my thunder. I thought I was going to be the only one that potentially would take Tulane money line. Roll green wave, baby.
Dude, I'm still
I'll
paying
be drinking
penance
green
to
water
Tulane
this week.
Well, contractually, I have to promote Tulane for a full year. I mean,
make up for last year.
I'm gonna be drinking green water, man. I'm gonna get that dye, and I'm gonna dye my water green as I watch that game as the Tulane money line hits. I love it, man. All right, yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. It is gonna be a fun one, but Tulane spread for sure. Very confident about that. How about Texas A&M, number 23, 4-point favorite on the road at Miami, completing that home-on-home series. A&M got the best of the Hurricanes last year. Guys, how many legal trouble and NIL dollars can possibly be morphed together into one game? This is the NIL Bowl. This is the backdoor. This is the backdoor deal backdrop bowl right here. How much money can possibly be pumped into this game right here between these two underachieving programs?
Let me say, it's an interesting matchup, the home and home here. I mean, Miami, this will be one game the fans actually show up to, and it'll still be like a half full stadium. And let me again get the pleasantries out of the way. I'll take A&M to cover, and I'm going to take A&M to win. I'm so skeptical of the Bobby Petrino experience, but if even a fraction of that shows up, I like Wegman to outduel Van Dyke, and I like also Jimbo to outcoach Mario. And I also don't think some of those freshmen on the O-line who are studs are going to be really good. I think this defensive line it might be one of the best they see all year. So give me the Aggies both ways. I think they sweep the rivalry, sweep the series. I mean, not the rivalry, but the home and home.
Well, in the second inaugural Backdrop Bowl, I'm going to go with a team who I think has the best quarterback. And I think A&M finally found him in Connor Wegman. He's really good. He's really good.
5-star.
Yeah, absolutely. And both these teams looked better this year, actually, from week one. Both of them had a pretty solid showing. And I will say, I think A&M is actually a dark horse for the West this year, the SEC West, especially if they continue to improve. I think they're more than – I think I like them for a touchdown on Miami at least. So give me A&M on the spread as well.
So which goes further? Does oil money go further or does cocaine money go further?
Oh, man. I'll say cocaine.
Hey, they're both natural resources, right?
That's true.
No, I'm playing.
That's a good one.
No, I think both of these teams are definitely in store for bounce back seasons after what could be classified as disaster years last year, given expectations. The difference for me is, like you guys said, home field advantage isn't really that much of a thing for Miami, unfortunately. They really need to get a new stadium built soon. But Texas A&M, I'm with you guys. I think they kind of do have a quarterback advantage, which was, a year or two ago, which would have been ludicrous to say, because Tyler Van Dyke had a phenomenal 2021 season. He was somewhat okay against Miami of Ohio in the Miami Bowl last week. You got the Miami Bowl and then the NIL Bowl this week. But anyhow, yeah, Weigman, looked like nails against New Mexico. I mean, he looked pretty good. He looked like he could have taken a step forward. It was New Mexico, granted, but I'm with you guys. I think A&M still does have a leg up on roster talent and everything, and I think they are more likely to take that leap forward that we're kind of expecting between these two programs this year. So I like A&M as well in this game. So a lot of consensus here, man. A lot of close spreads, but a lot of consensus across the board. I hope we don't get burned by week one overreactions, but we shall see. All right. Iowa versus Iowa State, the Cyhawks showdown. We're like obligated to pick this game every year. Like, I don't care how bad these programs are. We have to pick this game every year. It's just, I don't know why, but the Cyhawks series just never disappoints with like wacky, weird stuff. And it's always a fun watch, no matter how bad or good those teams are. This year, neither team is ranked, and Iowa is a 3.5-point favorite, but it's in Ames.
So for what it's worth, Shoob, I think the players on both teams like betting on this game and picking this game as well. So I mean, it's simple. This is like the real play. If you're serious about your money, is the under. I mean, that's the legitimate play. For the sake of our exercise, give me the Hawkeyes both ways. Kind of like Bedlam, and I'm not trying to give y'all PTSD, but like Bedlam, Iowa State finds multiple ways to shoot themselves in the foot. Even last year, when Iowa State had that game wrapped up, Iowa was still in a position to take a field goal to tie the game. So Iowa to beat an Iowa State team that doesn't have its starting quarterback, that is reeling, that has a lot of offensive woes. And now, granted, Iowa does too, but I'm fully playing the history card here. Hawkeyes both ways. They take the Cyhawk trophy back.
I mean, Iowa State's down starting running back, starting quarterback, and a few other players, starting D linemen. Iowa looks a little bit better on offense this year. Still not very good, but not completely incompetent. I got to go with the Hawkeyes. Both ways. Both ways. The history also. I mean, even when Iowa State has a better team going into this matchup, even when you would think that they should win this game, they always find a way, except for one time, to choke it away. So, Iowa winning.
Hey, that exception was last year. Iowa State did go and beat them last year at Kinnick.
Yeah.
But, you know,
incredible.
For pretty much all the same reasons you guys have said, I'm going to go with Iowa as well, which, you know, we're going with Iowa here across the board. Lots of consensus so far this week. Sorry for the viewers. We're not a lot of disagreement, but
if this spread was like 7, maybe I'd think of Iowa State to cover, but I mean, you're going to make it a field goal and a half. I want to believe that Iowa can defense their way to like a 6-point win or, you know, just enough. So I think it's just the way the numbers are playing out this week. And also, we don't have a lot of data yet after 1 week. I think after a few weeks, you know, we'll see a little more variety. In fact, we might see some variety with this next pick. So, yeah, I'll lead us in. Texas, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, for show entertainment purposes, really quick, over-under in that game
absolutely.
is 36.5.
Under all day. It's
going to
be
under.
Like it's going to be like 12 to 5.
12 to 5. Oh my God.
6 safeties for Iowa. 12 to 5.
Yeah. There will
guarantee 6 safeties.
There's guaranteed to be a safety, a punt block return touchdown, a field goal block return touchdown, a defensive touchdown, like any weird miscellaneous scoring method you could think of, guaranteed in this game. That's what makes the Cyhawks series a great rivalry. But anyways, all right. Texas versus Alabama, guys. This is the big one this week. There's a lot of takes already, a lot of hype and lead up into this game. This is a big measuring stick for both of these teams who had weaker opponents in week one. This is pretty much like an early season playoff game type of feel, I feel like, for both of these teams. Sark going into the Lions' Den in Tuscaloosa against his former head coach. What do we think here? Alabama's a 7-point favorite.
You got a game loaded with 5 stars, future NFL talent. You got a Texas team that just lost the heartbreaker to Bama last year. I mean, losing Quinn Ewers, that was a huge difference, and some sus calls from the refs. And Hudson Card, kudos to him. I mean, he tried to keep you in there, but couldn't. So now you're coming in to Tuscaloosa with Quinn, with Murphy as a reserve, with just third year with Sark. Hopefully got things going together both ways. Texas wins. Period.
Old hook'em horns right there.
Hey, if anyone actually watches our channel on the regular, you know that my bold prediction is that the Horns are going to win this game. So I got to stick with it. Hook 'em Horns.
You know what, guys?
We're going to go consensus.
There's been a lot of consensus so far. A lot of consensus. Too much groupthink, in my opinion, I feel like, between the three of us, and it's scaring me in week 2. Because we did have a good amount of disagreement in week 1. But it's still early. It's still early in the year, guys. We made a lot of preseason predictions, and a lot of them hinged on this game and what we felt was going to happen in this game, because it's such a huge swing game for the season in the whole sport, in the national championship picture. Hook 'em. Three-way consensus on a touchdown underdog to win this game outright. We all think the Horns are going to go into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama. Now, I will say, you can go just about anywhere else to get X's and O's talk. I'm sure there's plenty of outlets that are going to talk about this game. Alabama, I think they are going to effectively run the ball real well this year with Jalen Milroe. Like, I think they can do that, and they are a team that can win 10 or 11 games minimally by playing that style of football because it's Alabama. However, this is one of the few teams that I think legitimately has a better receiving core, has a better passing quarterback, and potentially, I think, has the defensive line that can actually stand up well against what Alabama wants to do. I think Texas has a matchup advantage against Alabama, and I like them to win this game. So there you have it.
And a better offensive play caller.
Agreed. You know that Rice game, like they were just slow cooking that Rice game. That like all of their pun intended there. But all Texas has been doing during training camp and their early practices has been game planning for Bama. They weren't game planning for Rice. They were game planning for this. So I can't wait. Cannot wait for this one. All right. Guys, we need some disagreement. Can we get it here? Oregon.
I think we will.
13th overall. Big beatdown of Portland State last week. They hung an 80 burger on Portland State. Sheesh. Texas Tech, on the other hand, yikes. Sold. Good Lord, man. Ugh.
Dude, they won a Gonzo grudge. That's always worth something.
The spread, based on what we saw in week 1, the spread in this game is not as big as maybe you would think. Oregon's only a 6.5-point favorite on the road in Lubbock. Gonzo had to get up and leave. So this is a matchup that at the beginning of the season, I had this one as pegged as like, this is the most underrated non-conference battle that's probably going to have high implications all season long between these two teams. And after Texas Tech lost last week in Lubbock, I feel like the air has definitely been taken out of the balloon for this one, which is unfortunate because I still think this has potential to be a great game. But that's just me. What do you guys think?
I've definitely changed my thoughts on the winner based on what Tech did to me. I do think Oregon's going to win this game, but you know what? I'm going to give Texas Tech the benefit of the doubt and assume that they just sold on Wyoming and were completely invested in the Ducks, and they're just not good enough to sleepwalk. I think Tech keeps it close at home. It's going to be a rocking crowd, so this will be my first little hedge play.
So I'll say right now, like to a degree, I agree. So I'm picking Oregon to win. And I do think Tech was looking ahead to Oregon because that was going to be their statement game of the year. Tech was getting all this hype this year. Tech really wants to prove a point against Oregon. They have the home crowd. I believe it's a night game as well, so that stadium is going to be popping. And I got to say, 6.5 though, I like Oregon by like maybe 8 or 9. So give me Oregon both ways. Although I really do think Tech is going to put up a bigger fight than people expect. I think a lot of people are writing them off because of Wyoming. I think it was a look ahead, and I think that spread is very trappy for a lot of people. So It's not one I would touch with my money, but I will take Oregon on this spread.
I agree with you guys there. I think this spread is just begging you to take Oregon, which scares me a little bit. But on one hand, yes, I think it is very possible Texas Tech was looking ahead to the Oregon game. However, it's not like Wyoming was like a slam dunk layup game. Like this was still a game you have to still play like your A or B game to win.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Wyoming. Wyoming isn't like one of the worst teams in FBS. They're a middle of the pack to one of the better Mountain West teams. Like you were only a 14-point favorite against them. This wasn't like you were a 5-touchdown favorite and you could play the second string and win. So it's a little concerning to me that the coaching staff would potentially overlook this game. I'll just put it that way. Like you should not have been overlooking this game if you're Texas Tech. So let's just get that out of the way. But I do agree. Whether or not that was the case, they are 100% going to give Oregon a way better fight than they did against Wyoming. They're going to play a better game. I expect this one to be close. I'm going to take Oregon to win because, again, you have to downgrade Texas Tech after what you saw last weekend, after what you think of them. But you know what, Gonzo? I'm with you here. Texas Tech to cover. I think there's a bounce back element here. And I think this is going to be a good game. Like I got that feeling. It's going to be a good game despite the air being taken out of the metaphorical balloon.
I can totally see it happening. That's why I said this line looks a little trappy and I wouldn't bet it. But hey, I'm going to go with the full touchdown, 7 points.
And I believe this is at the same time as Texas Bama. So this one is not going to get as many views. But if you got the 2 TV setup, get these 2 games on for sure.
That's going to be me right there.
Mm-hmm.
2 TV
Ditto.
setup.
Can't wait, man. All right, the final game on the docket. Another very interesting matchup non-con series here between Wisconsin, who's a 6-point favorite on the road against Washington State. Last year, the Cougs went into Madison as a 17-point underdog and beat Wisconsin. That was a big shocker early in the year last year. Zane had a huge best bet on Washington State over that hit last year. Washington State actually looked pretty good in their opener. Wisconsin still looks like maybe they're figuring things out a little bit. Running back's phenomenal, though. I don't know about Tanner Mordecai. What do you guys think here?
Man, this one is so difficult. In like the ZKS picks, like this is one I still haven't picked. So this is me like making the pick now in real time. I mean, I could see either ways. Wisco's got the backs and State's got Cam Ward. State won last year. It's year 1 with Luke Fickle.
It's in Pullman.
Give me Wisconsin both ways. I think they're gonna run buckshot on them, and I'm not confident. This is like the least confident of all our picks that I am, but I'm gonna give some love to the Badgers, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Wazoo swept the home and home.
So week 1, I wasn't particularly impressed with Wisconsin's pass game development. I expected them to take a step forward, a noticeable step forward with the change in, Phil Longo coming in. But, there's still the same old team relying on Braylon Allen and Ches Malusi. Can't really pass the ball very effectively. Perhaps they'll get better as the season goes along. But I don't know, man. Cam Ward, home crowd, Pullman. Washington State fans of this year, of all years, have a lot to really be passionate about because let's just say they're going to show out, man. There's a lot going on for that fan base right now. They're going to show out for this game. I think Wisconsin will edge them because their running backs are far superior, and that's ultimately very hard to stop. But I think Washington State's going to make this a game, and I think they're going to cover the spread.
So you got Wisconsin winning, Wazoo keeping it close.
Yep.
Well, guys, the final pick of this segment. Time for some disagreements. Cougs are going to win this game. The Cougs are going to sweep the home-on-home series. Give me Wazoo to win outright as a 6-point dog.
I like it.
I know it was Colorado State, but Colorado State was getting some preseason hype as a sleeper team in the Mountain West, and that could still very well be the case. However, maybe it was a really good Washington State team that beat a pretty decent G5 team in Colorado State. And if you look at the final score from that game, Colorado State got a lot of garbage time points in the fourth quarter that made it look a little bit closer than it actually was. I mean, Cam Ward 37-49 last week. He was nails. I think Washington State getting Wisco early in the year while they're still kind of figuring things out is a matchup advantage. And again, it's in Pullman. Give me the Cougs. I'm taking 6 or 7 point underdog teams outright to win this week. So I'm looking forward to it.
This is a parlay week for Zan.
It is. And I had to get some disagreement, man, because there's a lot of consensus across the board. We're either going to look really good after this week or we're going to look really bad. But I'm looking forward to it, gentlemen. Any final thoughts before we hang it up?
I'm looking forward. Hey, thank God football's back. We got a week down. Week 1 was really interesting with the results. I'm hoping week 2 brings even more conversation and hopefully even more parity. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, I echo that. I'm just happy that college football is back.
Amen to that. Zan, you look like you're about to tell a scary story by the campfire right now.
Yeah, I got my light from my mic right here. No lights on in the apartment right now.
Let me tell you about the Central Arkansas Oklahoma State matchup of 2023.
Let's not talk about that.
I'm going to
I'm
Oklahoma
scared.
State. Yeah, I'm going to that game, by the way. Oklahoma State at ASU. So I'll be there.
Let's talk about the 2021 Big 12 championship.
Oh God. Yeah.
There was a man, they call him Keon Coleman. OSU fans still shudder to this day when they hear his name.
All right, week 2, it's a big week. A lot of redemption for a lot of teams that had poor performances in week 1, and a lot of big-time matchups that are going to be key in the college football playoff race and conference championship race this year. Gentlemen, signing off. This is the Saturday Scholars for Zan, Gonzo, and Shoob. See y'all later. Have a great day, and enjoy your college football Saturday.